Welcome to the Best Known Church Show.
How can you get your guests to convert from online visitors to in-person guests? If you look at the average, and when I say average, I mean typical, everyday, hasn't worked with us yet church, you'll notice you get anywhere from about 400 times the number of visitors to your website than you do actual visitors in person. Just on the analytics we look at starting at a church before we work with them, we see about, an average of 400 to 600, 800 visits to the website a month. And we ask how many people are coming to your church, and we get the answer 1, 2, 3, whatever. I'm still in a Zoom meeting. That's interesting. I hope that didn't mess up my recording here. Let me exit this Zoom meeting. All right, cool. Let's try that again. Let me go from the top. Jose, cut this out. Well, maybe it'll be in the live stream, but here we go. How can you get more of your online guests to convert from online to in person? Look, we love bringing people to our online website to see about our church, to maybe even hear the gospel and be discipled through watching a message or reading some of our resources. But ultimately, for most local churches in America, we want people to connect with us in person, to be a part of our faith community and experience Christ by seeing Him reflected in our gatherings. So how can you get more people coming to church from your website? A lot of churches, when we work with them, when we start out, they're getting 400 to 800 to over 1,000 visits to their website every month, but they're only seeing 1, 2, or 3, just a handful of guests. How can we increase that number? How can we increase the number of people just coming to your website to becoming in-person guests? We're going to talk about our 10 favorite ways to proactively nurture guests and transform them from online visitors to in-person guests. Today's motto is relentless pursuit. We've got an incredible God that's called us to relentlessly run a race. So we are going to relentlessly pursue that outrageous vision that He gives them. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to treat our guests like no one else, no other church, and no other organization will. All right, we're used to getting, hey, you added this to your cart and you didn't buy it, or you visited us, you visited our website, but you didn't join us. We're used to getting ads like that. The church needs to stand out because we're not selling some $7 tchotchke or $20 CD or $50 bed mattress topper. We have the gift of eternal life that we know about. We need to guide our community. We need to do whatever it takes to get people there. So let's not get caught up in the world of, hey, you forgot to add this to your cart, and hey, are you forgetting something emails? You ever get those emails? You go online shopping and it's like, hey, you forgot something, and you're like, how did you know? They know. Let's use that for the kingdom. Let's use that technology. Let's use that strategy for the kingdom and relentlessly pursue the vision that God's given us to transform the world with Him. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. My name is Justin, and if we have not met, I take full responsibility for that. In this show, I'm showing you how to go from unknown to best known, from being the best kept secret to be the best known organization in your community. And the way that we do that, the way that we help accomplish it, I'm not saying we're the only way. I'm not saying there's no other good ways. I'm saying this is what we know works, and this is what we do for our clients. And that is to be proactive in our outreach. And we get the blessing, instead of interrupting someone's day, like I said earlier, to try to sell them a $7 tchotchke, to upsell them to buy a $21 program, to upsell them to whatever. Instead of all that mess, we get to actually come into people that we can serve, minister to, and share the life-saving blessing of Jesus Christ. Share the sacrifice that He made for our community. I hope that made sense. Today we're talking about our proven techniques to bring people to church. This is the same thing. In fact, I even got a screenshot today. This is the same thing that we use in our process, the definitive church marketing method, to bring people to church. We do this for our clients, and they see things like this. I got this text message a couple weeks ago. This is a small church, tiny, tiny church. So for them to get 10 guests on a Sunday is incredible for them. So I'm going to be walking you through some of what this is and what that entails and what that looks like. But first, I want to make sure we understand what we're trying to do here. See, what I see a lot of churches doing is they, what I call, leave the ball in someone else's hands. Meaning, we've kind of relegated ourselves to the sideline. And we've said, okay, community, we love you. Jesus died for you. And we'll be over here if you need anything. The church used to be the cornerstone of the community. It used to be the place where people could rely on, could count on, could trust, had authority to speak into the community. But somewhere between the Jesus Revolution to today, the church kind of took a step aside and said, you know what, we don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to crack some eggshells. We want to be nice. Don't get me started on the whole preach Jesus and when necessary use words, right? Whatever that phrase is. Now, you need to preach the gospel. No one ever saw someone and never say anything and said, oh, I repent, right? So we need to step back into the playing field and get involved in the community where they are, and they are online on their screens. And unfortunately, a lot of churches, especially when it comes to online, we say, we're just going to post this stuff. If anyone wants to check us out, you're more than welcome to. Okay? And what's worse is when someone actually makes an effort to connect with the church doesn't meet that effort with more effort to serve them. Does that make sense? Meaning, if someone makes the effort, for example, someone makes the effort to visit my house, I'm going to make it worth more than their time to visit my home. All right. When my dad comes over, I make sure he's fit. Okay. He's living the bachelor life. He's in his house alone. He travels a lot. So he doesn't get a lot of home cooked meals. So every time I invite my dad over, when he comes and picks up my daughter for soccer practice and he takes her, or, you know, hey, if I just got some extra, I'm making a big meal and I know there's only 3 of us that night, I will invite him over because I want that to be worth it to him. I'm not going to invite him over and then just kind of sit around and laze around unless we're actually doing something. Even if we're watching a game, I'm making queso, right? I want to make it even more worth his time, okay? And when a guest interacts with a church, we want to make it more than worth their time, meaning we want them to be surprised at how much we actually care about them, because so many people think that the churches are just self-serving, and now they're probably not the ones connecting with us, but they may have that idea of, you know, this church is eventually going to ask something of me. What's it going to be? When's the shoe going to drop? But if we serve them, show that we serve them, show that we care for them, and this is where a lot of churches drop the ball on follow-up, show how we've served people like them, then they will see that we're worth paying attention to, okay? So the church needs to stop being silent, stop being out of mind, and stop being out of sight, all right? And we need to leave less space for the enemy to play, and we need to actually get involved in the people, especially the people that show interest in us. You hear me reference this a lot. I need to actually formalize this because it's just getting... I'm tired of not knowing what to call it. You've got 3% of people are like ready to actively go to church. Okay, can you see that on my screen here? 3% are like actively looking. Okay, they know your church. They are ready to plan a visit. Okay, and remember, the people that fill out your plan a visit form, if you didn't watch last week's episode or 2 weeks ago, episode 64, only like 1% of these people might plan a visit, okay? What I'm talking about today is aiming at this 17%. These guys are curious. We might call them seekers. They know something needs to be paid attention to, okay? And by the way, there's 20% of people that are hurting but not necessarily looking for a problem, and there's 60% of people that just have no clue what's going on. They're just trying to live day to day. We're looking at this 17% right now. We want to serve these people, but they're not necessarily ready to plan a visit. So how do you preach the gospel to them? How do you serve them? How do you get them to connect and engage with your church if they're not ready to come in person. And this is where the online guest gift comes into play. That's what we talked about on episode 64, talking about how you can serve people, even share the gospel and disciple with them before they come step foot in the building. And what happens is when they come to the church, they're no longer asking questions of, what is this place? Will I like this place? Will this place like me? They're asking questions of, I'm ready for my next step. Please tell me what I need to do next. And that's when you come with the, repent and follow Jesus stuff, okay? So we want to stop being so silent, especially when people come and visit our website. We want to give them something to help them in their lives, to show that we understand them, to show that we can serve them, and to honestly help them right now. Whether it's help them be parents, help them be grandparents, help them be husbands and wives, help them figure out their purpose in life, whatever. I mean, there are so many ways, help their relationships. There's so many ways that we can help people. So that's what the online guest gift is. So proven technique number one to guest nurturing that's going to transform your church is number one, start serving people before they walk in your door. This is 2024. We no longer have to be sitting on the sidewalk saying, come over here, 9:30, in this geographically barriered location, you will have your life changed. And instead, we can say at any point of the week while you're sleeping, Pastor, at 1 a.m., when husband goes to the couch because his wife got mad at him for snoring and he snapped at her and then she brought up something he did 3 years ago and now he's on the couch, ticked off, and he's saying, why am I like this? Why can't I get better? He goes on to Google, he goes on to Facebook, he sees your church, and he sees that you've got something about, happy wife, happy life, the husband's guide to fulfilling his marriage. I don't know, whatever it is. We don't have any marriage online guest gifts yet. Maybe we should make one. Maybe he sees the book Love Better from one of our clients, right? How to transform your relationships to be more fulfilling. He sees that, he downloads it, right? Now he's got something about, okay, what does God actually plan for love, marriage? What's the difference between love and a wife and a husband, and a husband and a brother and a friend? Like, what are the differences there? Oh, I see, I've been treating my wife like a friend. I need to treat her more like my wife. Now he's been served, and he's like, this church actually helped me. Right? Now, God needs to be in that. God needs to be the wind blowing, but we're setting the sail of the online guest gift. Okay, so that's what the guest gift is. It is something we give to our online guests to help serve them with a need they're having right now. So you got to get that down. It doesn't have to be special. Don't go on a Canva and start designing something. It could literally be a Word document to start off with. Okay, it could be an ebook. It could be something you've already written. Okay, the difference is that you're going to present it to your online guests and say, we want to send this to your email. What's your name and email? All right. That's not the only way. That is my favorite way to get names and emails. Because again, we want to nurture people into that first visit. A lot of people are talking about nurturing them to the second visit. And I think that's very important, but you can't have a second visit unless you have that first visit. So I really want to focus on nurturing into that first visit. And a lot of churches make the mistake of broadcasting. Okay. We don't have to broadcast anymore. We can create one-on-one discipleship-focused relationships even using our website. So that was number one. I said the online guest gift. Number two, contact forms. This kind of took a dip, but it's coming back for some reason. And also a part of that is web chat. Okay, web chat. All right, web chat is when you go to a website and that little conversation bubble comes up on the bottom right and it'll say, hey, can I help you? Can I answer any questions? What can I do for you? All right. We have people that fill out contact forms in web chat for prayer requests, for special accommodations. Hey, my grandma's in a wheelchair. Can she get into your church? We're looking at visiting. We live next door. Web chat is a little bit more free. Someone can say, hey, I need some money for gas to get to my job interview. I need a bus ticket to see my brother's funeral in Oklahoma. Things like that. Also, event registration is another way. I can't tell you how many churches ask for RSVPs and then do nothing with that information. When you get their name and email from the contact form, a web chat, or event registration, okay? That's proven technique 2, 3, and 4. Get this stuff on your website. You will have people giving you their information so you can then follow up with them. And then not only follow up with them, you can nurture them into that first visit. So for example, if they register for VBS, that's an event registration. Obviously, I'm going to nurture them to come to VBS. After VBS, I could send them an email. By the way, did you know that we have kids ministry that meets on Sunday mornings? And if your kid liked VBS, we have something like that every Sunday morning. And for the parents, we've got blank. Okay? And we'll talk about the messages to send them there. Okay? If someone sends you a web chat, all right, very rarely are you actually going to be online unless you have dedicated volunteers or lay leaders. Very rarely are you going to be online active at the time that they ask a question. So a real simple thing to do is let them ask their question and then say, we'll respond to you as soon as possible. What's the best email or phone number we can text or email you at to give you that answer? And surprisingly, a lot of people give their email and phone number. I say surprisingly, I do it too. And now you can send them that answer. And then you can send them a follow-up, hey, how else can we serve you, right? And I wouldn't spam I wouldn't spam at all. I wouldn't abuse this too hard. I would answer that question and then ask one more follow-up. And then the contact form. Every page on your website should have a contact form. Your leadership page. Hey, want to speak to a leader? Fill out this form and that leader will call you back. Your kids ministry page, advanced registration. Your plan a visit page. Let us know you're coming and we'll save a seat and a special gift for you. Or we'll have, if you have a coffee bar, we'll give you a $5 credit to the coffee bar. I don't know, whatever. Youth, we got a special gift for youth. Prayer request page, obviously, right? Tell us your prayer request. We'll pray for you. Hey, can we follow up with you? Contact page, obviously, send us a message. Events, even if you just have an event. Hey, we've got basket weaving this Saturday at 9. You don't need to sign up. You can just come as you are. Have any questions? Want to bring your own stuff? Fill out this form. Let us know you're coming and we'll answer your question ahead of time. All right? People will do this. And now you've got their name and email and you can follow up and nurture with them. So number one, have an online guest gift, something for people to download that's valuable. Don't hide your sermons behind this. This is something about a very specific pinpointed need that someone has. And if they tell you they have that need, that should signal to you, hey, I can serve this person really well. I feel like I'm really dark on the camera. 2, 3, and 4, contact forms, web chat, and event registrations. You have that information, now use it. A big thing that people don't think about in the church world that we've gotten really good at in the business world, and we have tons of data to prove it, is immediate follow-up. All right, there are studies done that the faster you respond to someone, the more trust they have in you, okay? So whenever someone communicates with your church online, whether that's downloading a guest gift, whether that's submitting a contact form, web chat, or an event registration, you need to let them know what to expect. First of all, with a timeline. On every contact form, it should say, please leave your details below and we'll contact you within the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't even like the window range, just within the next 24 hours, if not within the next 48 hours, if not within the next 7 days, okay? Which I hope no one has to say, should be within 48 hours. And when they fill out that form or when they give you that information or when they make that request, they should get an immediate follow-up. I'm not talking about a success message, I'm talking about an email. So when I say, I'd like to speak with Pastor Thomas, I get an email, hey, Pastor Thomas has received your request. It's sitting at the top of his email. We've notified him. Our secretary has also been notified, and she will make sure that he gets your message and call you back within the next 48 hours. We'll call you at the information below, and you just copy what they filled in the form. Okay? Immediate. It lets me know that you've received my request. How many times have you worked with businesses where you send them a report request and you have no idea if they got it? Versus you send a support request and they send you an email back, hey, we got your request and we're working on it. Even better, you're number 17 in line. Right? How many times you call someone and yeah, it's frustrating when they're like, your call time, your whole time is going to be 30 minutes. And you're like, darn it, okay, fine, I'll call back later when I have 30 minutes. Versus I'm sitting here fuming because it's been 20 minutes and no one's answered my call because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how long. You see, we are used to this because it's 2024. We have the technology. Yet for some reason, people just go to church websites. They see just very generic, vague information. They have no idea what's going to happen. And so they're not going to do anything. When you communicate clearly expectations, people are more likely to take a next step because they know what to expect. Does that make sense? I mean, that's very it's like grandma common sense, like Dave Ramsey would say, I think. But we don't do it, and we need to do it, okay? So promise a timeline whenever someone gives you their contact info online, and then give an automated response. That's numbers, whatever it is. That we're going to get to 10 eventually, okay? 5 and 6, I think. The last thing you want to do is nurture to Sunday and beyond, okay? A lot of churches will, again, focus on just following up after the first visit. A lot of churches will focus on just the online guest gift and just get them up to the next Sunday, and then the automation stops, all right? You want to nurture beyond that. In fact, even if someone visits on a Sunday, wouldn't you want them to still get testimonials of what God's doing in your church the following week? Wouldn't you want to still give them the opportunity to ask questions even after their first visit? If you don't have a way to track when someone's making a first visit and then switch them over to a different automation, that's fine. They can still continue to get the same information. It is still going to bless and enrich their lives and show them what your church is all about. Does that make sense? So you want to nurture them to make that visit. You've given them an online guest gift. You've prayed for them online through a contact form, or they have asked you a question about web chat and now you have their email. Okay? And you can add a checkbox. If at any point you're like, I don't like doing that, they won't know it, I'll be surprised. All you gotta do is add an opt-in checkbox. You know, a little checkbox says, hey, I understand I'm gonna get further communications. You could say, checkbox, please send me more information. And if they check that box, then they go in that automation, okay? So everything I'm telling you now is opt-in. So you don't have to worry about that. Put that in the back of your mind. You can build this out and people can opt out of it without even having to opt in at first. Does that make sense? So nurture to Sunday. A lot of churches will just do a Saturday text or email, visit tomorrow, and that's it. You know what that is? That's asking. That's giving someone an errand. Okay, that's me coming home and telling my wife, I just got done working, it's 5 o'clock, let's have some dinner next. All right? I'm just asking for things. It's all about me, 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 me. Hey, it's Saturday, guess what you get to do for me tomorrow? So here's a couple other things that we like to do. Number one, we like to send testimonies. We all have testimonies. Every church has testimonies. You would not be a biblical church if you did not have testimonies. These do not have to be videos. They don't have to be specially produced. It could literally be 1 to 2 sentences of what God's doing in your life. Let me pull up one from an actual client. They got testimonies up the wazoo in their church. It's amazing. That was probably inappropriate. Here we go. 3 testimonies right on the whole place. This is a place where people are more concerned with spiritual growth than tradition. We're not afraid to try new things. Our church has unconditional love, and you feel the love from each and every individual. Too long? Here's a shorter one. We like going to this church because everyone is truly so genuine and kind. We feel loved as soon as we walk in the door. Okay? These are did I misspell testimony? Is that how you spell testimonies? These are so important for people seeing what God can do in their lives. Okay? When I came to this church, I found healing in the Lord, and now I get to live in faith and spread that message to others. All right? That's all it has to be. And this can come from the pastor. I think our framework is, hey, John, whatever your name is, Pastor Joe here. I wanted to share a couple things that we've seen God do. It's amazing, and anything I believe that happened to these people can also happen to you too. Jesse said they found this. Susan said her kids are enjoying this. And it's just listing off testimonies of what your church is doing. The other thing you can do, sort of related, is stories. These don't have to be necessarily conversion related, but it could just be some stories that you share. Like every pastor has a go-to story of something that happened in his church that was amazing, a provision of God, something you did. Hey, you remember Hurricane Harvey and how that just totally wiped out a lot of the Texas coast? Our church packed a trailer full of water and shovels, and we drove 6 hours that weekend. In fact, it wasn't even pastor's idea. It was a lay leader. That's how committed our church is to helping our neighbors, even our neighbors in a different city, right? Like that's a cool story. That could be told at any time. So a follow-up like that is a great thing to do. Let me pull my notes back up. And then lastly is ask questions, get feedback. Hey, John. Just wanted to know what's on. What did you think of service? How can our church serve you? We've got some kids events coming up, but I don't want to slam your email. Do you have kids, and would you be interested in having some child-friendly activities to help them kind of figure out their purpose in life, help them feel wanted and loved? Can we help you out? We got a Mother's Day out coming up, but I don't want to send you the information if it's going to bother you, right? You can ask questions, get feedback, and learn how to serve this person. So even if they download your online guest gift, let's go back to that husband, 1 a.m., he downloads Love Better. Okay, he gets that automation like, hey, thanks for downloading, thanks for requesting this book, here it is. You can read it. The next day, hey, John, what did you think of the book? Did you have any questions? My email box is open, just hit reply, it comes straight to me. All right. A couple days later, hey John, here's that story I told on page 13 in the book. This is what happened afterwards. This is the story that's not in the story, right? And then 5 days later, maybe, hey John, here's a couple of things I hear that happened from other folks that have read this book, and they came and did some marriage counseling, and God did some amazing things in there, right? And then maybe on a Saturday, 2 Saturdays later, hey, by the way, I'd love to meet you in person. Would you be up for some coffee or coming to church tomorrow? Like, there are templates out there. Text in Church has a great template. Church Marketing University, it might be the same thing, has the same template. They might just use Text in Church, I don't know. There's lots of different frameworks and templates out there. This is just something that we like to focus on through the online guest gift, because you're nurturing them into their first visit. The nurture into the first visit is going to be radically different than nurturing them into the second visit. And that's fine, okay? I want to bring people to church for the first time so then we can nurture them for the second time. I don't want to accidentally get people coming first and then do a good job nurturing into a second visit. I want to intentionally get people doing both, first and second. All right. That's why we're updating our definitive church marketing method process. We're actually updating it. Is this the updated version? That's not the updated version. We're actually combining steps 5 and 6, be found and be represented, because they're blended together, which is why they're one after the other. We're blending those two together, and we're adding nurturing as a part of the online guest gift step. And we're doing more social media engagement type stuff, which I'm really excited for. So we are updating this. This is a living, breathing thing. I'm not teaching you something that is even just a couple years old. We're keeping on top of things. And so guest nurturing is something now that we're taking a focus on, not just to get people coming to the first visit, but also the second visit, because that's what really gets people engaged with your church. We're just on step 3 here. Guest nurturing, online guest gift, getting people to come to church for the first time and then come back for a second time, where they're 85% more likely to keep coming back. The stick rate is like 85%. You need to nurture your prospects. You need to get their information when they come to your website. We no longer live in an era where you just put a picnic chair next to your church sign and you see all the cars driving past and you say, man, I hope they saw our sign. We have a way now where you can be on the corner handing out water bottles and donuts in the morning. We used to do that as a church. Wow, memory unlocked. We used to go out with donuts and water bottles on a random morning and just say, hey, God bless you. We love you. Hope you have a good day. Miss breakfast, we'll take care of you. We're here when something doesn't happen right. We don't have to sit there and wonder if people saw our sign. We actually can go out now and serve those people, except instead of waiting for those people to drive by us, instead of waiting for that 1 hour a week, and instead of waiting for volunteers to show up, we have automatic ways to nurture our guests even while we sleep so that God can work in their lives. Okay? God is going to be moving in someone's lives. It's up to you and I to put up the right sales. And these aren't the only sales, but these are the ones that I know are proven to reach people in the community and nurture them in a way that's going to transform your church, triple your church guests in 90 days. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, like, follow, click subscribe wherever you're watching. There's some more information in the description. You can go find that yourself. I'm super excited, by the way. Next week, we're going to have Matt Curtis on the show talking about church team leadership health and how that impacts your church growth, how that impacts how people in the community perceive you, and how marketing does not replace your discipleship strategy. Marketing does not replace the invite strategy. Marketing does not replace evangelism. And in fact, a lot of marketing in today's churches are done because evangelism isn't done. And that's why marketing's not working for those churches. So we're going to dive into how to become a healthier team, how to become a healthier leader, and how to have that health develop in your church to overflow so your marketing works tenfold better and your investment goes further. So I'm very excited for that. And we're switching it up, by the way, the interviews. We're going to do more conversation style. We got enough teaching. I do enough teaching. I just want to sit down with some really cool people and ask them questions, pick their brains, and you'll get from it what I think. I think next week's interview is better than anything we've ever done because it's just a little bit more casual. So you can work around the house or mow the yard or whatever you got to do and enjoy it without worrying about overstimulating your brain. I just want to give you some ideas, some things to think about with these interviews. So that's next week. Again, like and subscribe wherever you are. Leave it a review if you're listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, and I will see you guys next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.